You don't know the power of the dark side.
Welcome to Star Wars Chatter, hosted by Andrew Van Zark. Now you're listening to Power. The information on this podcast is my opinion and some internet research. Hello, welcome to the Star Wars Chatter. I'm Andrew Van Zark, and this is your safe space which goes Star Wars. So let's get it. Episode 10 of Star Wars Andor. One way out, one way out, one way out. That's what we have for this episode of Star Wars Chatter, so let's get it. But before, a word from our sponsor. The sponsor of my stream and podcast is DistroKid. If you want 10% off on your first subscription with DistroKid, release your music to the world on every major music platform. Make sure to go to my website, andrewvanzark.com, and click on the discount link under the tab of DistroKid. Now, getting into that episode, wow, is it amazing. This is the breakout. The high point of Star Wars Andor. You know, it was going to be 12 episodes, so we know we're getting to that point where Andor's going to do what he has to do. So, the episode has a lot to offer us, so we got to deep dive into it, you know? But before, let's play that spoiler alert. This is a spoiler warning.
Well, I didn't see that coming.
If you don't like spoilers, make sure to tune out.
Please hang up and try again.
But if you know what we're talking about, make sure to leave me a message on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or tune into my next live show at twitch.tv/AndrewVanZark and leave me a message there on the chat. So let's get started and listen at your own risk. So Andor finally reveals a secret hiding in plain sight. But are we headed for a big season finale cliffhanger? I don't know, because we've heard that there's going to be probably a season 2 for Star Wars Andor, and I don't know if we're going to be left with a cliffhanger. Like, I was keeping this question for you, all you listening out there. So, the episode 10 of Star Wars Andors is a contemporary Star Wars TV show, and Andor may end up becoming the most interesting rewatch. And I can totally rewatch this so many times, you know? So while the thrills and surprises in The Mandalorian are top notch, Andor has given it to a whole new level, you know? So with episode 10, Andor has delivered a massive twist, but this surprise won't be the thing you want to rewatch. Instead, you'll be wanting to rewatch the whole season, day and night, in my opinion. So Andor is a show about spies. That means that the twist like this, everything you've already watched has suddenly changed to a different, perspective. So although One Way Out will likely be remembered as the one where Cassian finally breaks out of prison from Narkina 5, the bigger twist is all about a rebel spy we didn't know existed. While many fans had speculated that Dedra was actually an undercover rebel, it turns out that the pseudo background character, fellow ISB supervisor Lonnie Young, aka the actor Robert Ems, is really the mole working for Luthen. It's this kind of reveal that feels realistic because, of course, a rebel spy will be the one person hanging around with the ISB who we've all totally ignored till this point. As is the tradition for good spy stories, Lonnie's situation is tragic to say the least. Even though he wants to get out, Luthen refused to let him go, because he says, "What am I gonna lose?" And then Luthen replies, "You know what I'm gonna lose? Everything." He says love, family, friends, everything. And that is a point where you're gonna be like, whoa, what the heck is happening here? I did not expect this whatsoever. So this climactic scene in the episode, it's also a bit meta. So Luthen suggests that he and Lonnie are serving a higher cause, which the audience knows is a reference to the films of the original trilogy. Essentially, Lonnie and Luthen are toiling in the darkness so that later Luke and Wedge can fly some X-Wings in an open attack against the Death Star. By the time of Rogue One, Cassian Andor wears a rebel uniform on Jabin 4. But at this point in the Star Wars timeline, 5 years earlier, BBY, so the idea feels impossible. As Andor heads towards the end of its first season, it seems the blurry picture of the rebellion is starting to come into focus, as we were all trying to get the whole picture and expect awesome things like that. So the other part of this puzzle is naturally the journey of Andor himself. The thrilling revolt in the prison on Narkina 5 features a stunning performance by Andy Serkins as a tragic shift leader, Kino Loy, who we learn can't swim. An excellent twist that will leave you heartbroken and wondering whether we'll ever find out what happened to him. We assume nothing good, though, so forced to move on without poor Kino. The episode concludes with both Cassian and Melshi on their own. Fans of Rogue One will recall that Melshi and Cassian are allies who work together for the Alliance. So again, we're seeing the birth of future Star Wars stories, not in the way we expected, to say the least, and to put it out there, So, all of this begs a larger question, and that question might be, so while it will be fascinating to rewatch all of Andor's Season 1, knowing that we know about all the twists and turns, it remains to be seen if all this will close on a satisfactory note. Andor has succeeded in making its myriad stories about more than just cat and dot connecting in Star Wars timeline. It has brought so many things to the table. So this means it has its own internal emotional take, which are not beholden to the rest of Star Wars. But with only 2 episodes left, it's not clear how many of those threads can truly be resolved or changed enough to feel like we've reached a good stopping point before Season 2. Maybe that's not the point here, but there does seem to be basic questions. How much time is spent on each mini-story arc? Cassian with the Narkina 5 prison for 3 episodes, which he'll only be free for 2 more episodes before Season 1 comes to a close, unfortunately and sadly, because this has been a great thrill and a great time, So, will there be a time jump to get him to the next point in his story? We've only known Lonnie was a spy for 1 episode. Hear me out, 1 episode. But now, this revelation seems essential to whatever table setting is happening for the finale episodes. If Andor was bidding its time to get to the main event, that means this moment to have arrived and has a lot to offer. So, did the show linger on certain ideas for too long before pushing things forward? We're certainly know in 2 weeks' time. Fortunately, the takes are clearer now. They've been seen since the start. But with most characters still separated from each other, it will be fascinating to see how this all ultimately comes together. If the series has taught us one thing, it's that nothing is what it seems. Even the show itself, with all the plot twists, with all the ways that the show can take its turn from being a center into Andor, then center into Mothma, and the way that everything is just coming to place, you don't expect anything whatsoever within Star Wars Andor. Every story within Star Wars Andor seems separate, but in the end, we all know it's gonna come into this all conglomerate glue that's gonna make a lot of sense. So anyways, thank you for listening to the new episode of my podcast, Star Wars Chatter. I'm Andrew Clark, and this is your safe space which goes Star Wars. So let's get it. And now they're listening to Norman Stark. You're now listening with power to the music. May the Force be with you. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Adios, amigos. Roll out that outro. Let's go. This was the Star Wars Chatter, hosted by Andrew if you have any thoughts or any messages that you want to leave me, go check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Or my website, www.andrewvansart.com. And I'll catch you on the flip side. When you listen to Andrew Van Zark, you listen with power. Now, you're listening with power. Andrew Van Zark. Stream on every major music platform. Power to the music.